Now you are. Continue. What were you talking about with earthquakes? That was weird.
World Order.
Yeah, we're good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you do when you log into any dude. You have to
Okay.
check who the best is, who's in
Yeah.
charge.
No, it's like
Everyone
jail.
knows that.
No, it's like jail rules, dude. It's like you go to the biggest person, you just fucking punch him. But yeah, it's like very it went from 0 to 60 and not in a good way. Like it was very like, yeah, suddenly we need this girl to make a new world order, and there are all these skills, and then there are all these girls that have these special psychic powers, and then it turns out that the main heroine has a psychic power that nobody's ever heard of or classified properly, or blah blah blah. And I'm just like, what? Like,
Why are people with psychic powers even fucking playing video games?
yeah, that's what I mentioned at the beginning, right? It's like it's weird because it's like they're all talking about it within the context of the video game, but then they're all like, "Oh, by the way, we have psychic powers." It's like, what? Okay, sure.
Well, you're not. Well, you're not wrong because the first time you log into a game, you gotta be like, all right, what's the best build? Who's the top player? Let me copy this top player's build.
Listen, that is not true. That is not true.
Wow,
I've been playing World of Warcraft for like fucking 8 years now. I think I looked up a top player one time.
wow. So you're not a min maxer?
No, you just look up the builds, dude. You don't look up the players. Who
You
gives
don't
a
look
fuck
up.
about the players?
Yeah, it's not like a fighting game. You're not looking up a specific player in like an MMO. You're looking
Yeah,
up the
I
BIS.
I had a
I
conversation
don't know,
with
man.
someone about
Do you
this.
guys
Not to
remember?
go too far away from Spire, but the idea is you look up the build, you find out what's good. Now, if a player has that, and if you want to look up a top guild and you want to see what like their warriors are doing if you're a warrior, and you want to see like, am I not using this ability as much as I need? And you see how many times they cast that ability in a certain fight. Fine, but that's like really far in. That is not the first thing you do. That's nowhere near the first thing. And even then, you probably don't know who the best warrior in the world is anyway.
It's Zezima. Just remember
God,
Zezima.
It
yeah, he's
no,
right.
the best warrior in WoW, because
But
he not only is the best warrior in WoW, but he also wins strongman competition.
God damn. All right, so yeah, so it's like in the end, I kind of it just takes this idea of like, because I get why it does that, because it obviously wants to give the main characters doing stuff in the game a lot more impact, and the author didn't want to like switch between the game and the real world too much and just kind of create this like weird like drama, like melodrama that's like still weirdly supernatural, right? So they kind of they chucked the melodrama to the game, right? In a sense, because they're like, oh, by the way, we need to stop these guilds from gaining the power of psychic something, like blah blah blah, right? But then like at the end of the day, it's still like, I don't like, why do you really like, I'm still not very engaged in like hearing people try to fight over like obtaining psychic Thanos powers or whatever it is,
I
right?
Well, I mean, there's a key word you said in there too. It's we need to stop these guilds.
Yeah.
Do you?
Why?
Do you really
No,
need to?
because they're trying to take the girl. They're trying to take the girl who has psychic powers, like the main heroine, who has like the secret psychic powers or whatever.
Just
And
get him banned.
just kidding. But yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like
Just slash G inviter. Fucking idiots.
I feel like if it was kind of limited to the Anohana part, it would have been like more okay, because they elite, like, even if some of the characters were assholes, like just straight up unreasonable assholes at the beginning, at least there would have been time to like retrospect, introspect more, and just kind of go through the steps. But this addition of like the Sora Online factor to a very weird extent, I definitely disapprove of it, and that's like, I think why I would say it kind of represents quote unquote the worst parts of both Anohana and Sword Art Online for me. But yeah, that's sort of all I had to really say about Shichisei no Subaru. I like.
What about the good parts, Spire? You
Do
only
they
said
ever
the bad
like
parts.
bring the girl back to life?
They have not done that. I have not seen,
What?
or it's only up to episode 11 right now. So.
Is that even on the radar? Like, is that a goal? Because I feel like
really
that
doubt it.
should be the goal.
That's what you'd think, but then I think, in my opinion, what might probably happen is like the peekaboo scene with Anohana. That's probably gonna happen again, right?
Well, okay.
Draw breath.
What did she die? What did she die from? Did she die from like
She died from the boss. Or rather, in real life, nobody knows. It's not explained.
if it was brain
Do they know she's dead?
Brain drain.
Yeah,
Or
they
did she
have, like,
just disappear?
No, they have an actual scene. Like there was like, so it's like what happened was, it's like she died, right? And then there's a flash. There's a scenes cut to the parents of that main girl, or the main girl, holding a funeral for her.
Oh,
So yeah,
I mean, maybe
if
it's like I gotta hold a funeral for my character.
yeah, the parents are just crying. It's like, oh my god,
What
this
kind of
character
big
died.
misunderstanding? It's like the Make Love Not Warcraft episode of South Park, dude.
see Spire.
Like when that guy gets his call at work, it's like the worst news a parent could get.
She's just gonna be like popping out of the box.
Your kid's
I think what could
already
also maybe happen is like something like Angel Beats thing, where they're like, the MC's like walking along and he's like, oh, I know that. It's like somebody walks past him with like the exact hair. It's like, oh, I know that girl. Turns out it's like, excuse me, and you are, and it's like, and then it cuts to the ending, right? That kind of shit could happen.
See Spire. If she died from like brain drain, you could totally.
brain
I don't
drain.
think that's what.
You could
That is not what brain drain means.
You
just
could-
so you know.
you could totally bring you can totally bring them back. You just have to have the VR game. You just have to unlock her memories and repair her brain by going into VR and be like,
Her brain isn't damaged. She's
Wait,
exactly.
yeah, she's just dead.
She just doesn't have any memories of the 6 years that passed, because she was essentially dead during that time.
so they
But
can't
she's the same character.
they can't pull a Kirito on her.
You mean like just fix her?
No, because there's
I mean,
no
the
body
Kirito
to
didn't
do
Yeah,
that.
the point is that the nanomachines didn't vaporize Kirito's body.
That's what you think. That's what you think, Near. But you haven't read Alicization yet, have
I
you?
never will.
Well, you're gonna have a hoot when we cover it.
Well, no, I mean, it doesn't even matter. That's not what happened in the novel, anyways. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
But anyways, that's all.
I don't know,
really
man.
have.
If you fry someone's brain in SAO, you could totally bring them back by making them play another game.
But that's not even what you.
Her brain is not fried. She is a corpse. And 6 years went by. Well, I'm gonna throw it out
Right.
there that I don't think the
He goes back as a
body
zombie.
is. Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's Overlord as well. Who'd know? Who'd
Like,
know?
You do know that you do know they can put corpses in ice and save them for later, right?
Something tells me the Japanese don't do that.
I don't think when they held
And
the
even
funeral for
then-
her, they fucking went into cryogenics.
I don't think a
It was a freezing
Yeti
ceremony,
cooler
dude.
is going to preserve a body for 6 years.
I don't know, man. Have you seen the latest medical tech where they freeze the if it's like a
The
delicate
parents-
surgery, they freeze the room beforehand to lower your body temperature so that your body processes slow down.
like,
It
it
makes the
wasn't like,
surgery easier. It's kind of like
like
that.
it wasn't like,
Hey man, you know what else slows the body processes pretty quick? Being dead.
Dying.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Slows them real fast.
you know what my first thoughts are. It's like when my precious daughter dies, let's freeze her in carbonite. That's exactly what I think of.
It's like taxidermy.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's sort of all I had to say about it. I would not suggest watching this if you're like, I mean, I guess if you wanted the problems of Sword Art Online and Anohana to be exacerbated, and you thought that was cool, like the huge melodrama and
Cool.
just saving the world through video games or whatever, you thought that part was cool, then I guess check it out. But other than that, I'm just like, nah, I'm not about that life. But yeah, that's
Now-
Utena Subaru.
How
Oh,
does it hit? How does it match up to Sagrada Reset?
Stop this. Fucking stop this. It's so weird. It's like there's so much like cognitive dissonance in a sense, because it's like they're just like, yeah, oh, we have all these like mind powers, like, and they have to be real, right? Because they're literally like, yeah, I can read mind. Like those aren't like in-game powers. It's not like DLC or anything.
No, wait. What if it's like, remember that like one perk, that one worthless perk, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I think 1 or 2, where you could hear the enemy.
Oh yeah, it's like that, but with like actual player characters.
It's like that. Yeah, you can like you hear them and you can like pop into their Discord.
Just slide into those DMs.
I forgot
yeah.
about that part.
Yeah. But yeah.
Everyone does.
But yeah, I just don't think they took any of the okay things out of Anohana or Sora Online, so that was very unfortunate. But again, that was pretty much all I had to say for Shin Subaru. Don't watch it. But yeah, we should probably move on from that. And next, we're going to move on to Dark.
Wow, that's me. Boy, I was gonna cover 2 things this week, huh? And I just remembered first thing I was gonna cover. Haha. So I don't have a picture for this, but I watched. I forgot to mention this when I gave my week, but Angle Ma. Let's start with that really quick.
Mhm.
So let's give you a rundown of Angle Ma. A man kills a lot of Mongols. In fact, probably
like
more
a Japanese
Mongols
fantasy.
than ever touched the Japanese continent or island, whatever. Not on. It's okay. It's got decent action. Okay story. I would say the biggest problem is with the audio visuals in that it puts a filter that makes it look like it's on like scroll paper or something the entire time.
It's artistic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very bad. It's distracting. It takes away from scene because it just makes it look dirty. The closest thing that I could say compare it to, which isn't a great comparison. Not everyone's experienced it, but if you've ever run an ENB or a reshade in a game, and you know that option called lens that adds lens dirt to your screen that you always take off because who the fuck wants scratches on their screen? That's what it is.
It's
It is,
immersive, you know?
yeah.
It's like
It
when
is
my
like-
balls get scratched.
I described it to Near. I was like, look up top 10 Photoshop grunge brushes. And imagine just that with like 10% opacity over your screen at any given moment. Yeah, it's not great. Like
Oh
if you
my
do
God,
that, you do
please.
that shit for like a flashback. You don't do that when your entire series is supposed to be like in the past. It doesn't look good.
But it's a
Oh my God.
flashback of the world.
Yeah. It's gonna at the end of this. I'm actually being duped. At the end of the series, it's gonna like zoom out from a book. Someone's gonna like close a book and be
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
gonna
that's the
pull-
story.
It's gonna
Of
pull a deadly
Tsushima.
premonition on you.
Yeah. Like, that's the story of Tsushima, and then it's gonna lead into the opening of Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh man, multimedia
Please.
project.
Oh yes.
It'd be great. So that's pretty good. Save for like a few things. If you
Yeah.
like basic, it's nothing that engaging. The other thing I watched, the main series I watched was Justin Chen Dropkick.
Yes, Testing Chain or Dropkick or like, what is it in English? It's like
It's
Crayon
Dropkick on my devil.
That is
Crayon-
that I'm
Oh,
never gonna
Josh
know
and
that.
80 or maybe
That's
yeah.
that's actually more words than the original.
Yeah, it is, but the problem is that the other synonyms that are listed is false god my dropkick. So
What?
I'm gonna go ahead and say dropkick on my devil was probably the more
Yeah,
Well,
it makes more sense
that's
in
what
English.
Joshin
accurate term.
is.
You know what doesn't make sense though is it says dropkick on my devil. The devil's not the one that's getting drop kicked.
Yeah.
The
It's,
devil's the one that's doing the drop kick. So what's that all?
How
the
could you drop
preposition is
kick
kind
with
of
those
messed
legs?
up.
She doesn't have legs. She's a snake.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, she goes through a lot of effort. But anyways,
That's
Dark.
called a tail whip, not
That's
a
probably
drop
why
kick.
she loses. That's probably why she loses.
Anyways, Dark, keep going.
So the series is it's something.
Yeah,
I was talking.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is it the
it's a
Gabriel
comedy.
dropout of this generation?
No, it's not. Not quite. If you can find, now I'll get into that later. Never mind. What I would say is, well, first and foremost, the series itself is about like a character who's like a chuny slash like goth Lolita dressing character, and
It's
then
like a witch. Yeah.
yeah, and she's a witch, so she summons a bunch of shit to the world, and one of them is Joshin, who's supposed to be like a high level or like a high class devil.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way for her to return is to A, for Yurine, the uh, witch, to either find a like a spell or something to send her back,
Right.
or for her to kill Yurine.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously her first goal is to just kill her as fast as possible.
Yeah,
But what winds up happening, the series kind of cold opens you into her and like a bunch of other characters that are already there. And it's very slapstick even right off the bat, where they're not always like trying to kill each other. Or rather, Joshin is trying to kill Irina, but they're not always doing that. A lot of the times it's just slice of life shenanigans.
That's always sort of like the springboard shtick, like or like the go-to, like like this thing is getting kind of slow. Oh, okay, time for Justin to like try to kill you. That's sort of the shtick, but it's not like it stops being the core of the series.
Yeah. So I would say the main part of the series is kind of like the moment to moment slice of life situations that the characters find themselves in. And they play that up with a very like sort of unfocused cast of characters. It's not really even focused on Joshin and Yurine all that much. At least from the 3 episodes I watched, it does try to split it between the different characters, one of which is Medusa, the other one is Minos, I think. And then another one is just an angel that lost her halo.
Yeah. She's like super ghetto.
Yeah, she lost her halo, so she's super poor, and she'll actually die.
She's like the best, honestly.
Yeah, she's the best character in the show. She's always starving.
Man. I like the Minotaur and her shirt.
And she always has to essentially like regret what she's doing and
exactly. It's like
pray to God because
she's meat.
Yeah, because she's accepting like food and meat from a witch and also 3 other demons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun part of it. That's basically like the characters and the premise. And a lot of it is like just them doing different like slice of life things, and then obviously like Spire said, like sort of attempted kill that blows up in Joshin's face every single time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, what do I want to say? There's a lot of fourth wall breaks. Different meta stuff, like I think it's like Yurine mentions at one point when Joshin's talking about the heat, she was like, "Oh yeah, well if we weren't being published in this manga, in this what's it called? In this magazine, I bet our people would take a lot more care of us and we'd have that air."
I think don't say that, please.
Yeah, and then they're just like crickets, and then they move on.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got a lot of stuff like that, and it's pretty fun. I wouldn't don't go into it, I would say, expecting like um like a full slice of life in a way. Because the focus is the slapstick and references and stuff, and it becomes a lot more of that. Especially in audio visuals. The audio isn't great, I would say, because it doesn't have like a ton of it doesn't have any like standout like music or anything like that. And then the visuals themselves aren't spectacular either. They're pretty whack. Honestly, they look kind of dated.
Nomad Studios, I believe you said it was.
Yeah, but even then though, it's like Nomad did Kitakubu.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like it's not like they don't do things that have pretty alright audio visuals. It's just that I feel like this one in general, just the style of the manga itself, and also I guess maybe since they're just doing it because of that, like it kind of has a little bit lackluster visuals. But it does serve itself like pretty decently because the show itself is set up in part. So it feels more like a strung together series of like 5 minute short rather than
It
like
definitely
a full.
does. Especially since not necessarily the pace, but the combination of those like mini episodes and the fact that a lot of the comedy is definitely much more slapstick in nature. It's like it still has a dialogue, but it's definitely more slapstick heavy than a lot of recent series. And that makes it feel faster in a sense, you know what I mean? Because it's like a lot of the comedy is just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and then it's like, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what would you compare to other comedies of this genre?
Yeah, so
like
that's a good question.
Umaru, I
so
30 threw out Gabriel Dropkick. What else?
yeah, or
It's not
Dropout,
Gabriel
yeah.
Dropout. Gabriel
Yes.
Dropout is very much a full. It's very much
It definitely goes through more
a
development
slice
stuff.
of life.
Yeah, there's so that's actually what I was kind of. So you were I like mentioned Umar to you before the podcast, and then you're like it's a little bit different, and then I was like, yeah, it is also a little bit different. In my opinion, I like it Dropkick a little bit more than Umaro, and I was kind of mulling like as you were speaking, I was like mulling over like why do I think that, and I think one of the reasons might be is that the Shin-chan Dropkick like doesn't really pretend to have development. Like sometimes like there might be like one page that are like, oh, this happened or like whatever it is, and it's like it feels like they're gonna change, but they don't really change like at all. Like they have their shtick and then they just keep bouncing off each other, right?
So it's like the TQ of Umaru.
No. I would say yeah.
Kind of, I guess.
Kind of.
The
It's like you
reason
get
why-
character insight over development. You
So-
learn about
Yeah.
the characters, but they don't really. They
yeah,
don't.
exactly.
So more like Plastic Nissan then, maybe.
Sort of. So the reason why I
Lucky
Thought-
Star, but like not any slice.
yeah. So it's like the reason why I found it different from Umaru is that Umaru still is sort of runs the same thing where it's like they just do the same shtick over and over again. But the issue is that Umaru pretends to have development in a sense, right? So it's like Umaru's like a lot of the sort of mini arcs start out as like, oh, this thing, like this interaction happened, and they're gonna go one step further with it. Like they're gonna go on a date, or they're gonna go, do something, or they're gonna invite somebody over for a dinner party or whatever it is, right? It's like all this stuff happens. But then at the end of the day, Umar is still just like, yeah, I still just love my brother. And it's like, God damn it, really? Like, was this all we learned? Like,
Well, see, I would say that Umaru has development. The problem is that the development is detached from them trying to do the comedy along with it. I would say the development makes sense. I would say the side that doesn't make sense is like the chibi parts of the show and like trying to do the more like slapstick comedy instead of slice of life. Like I feel like if Umaru from like maybe like even after season 1 did not have the chibi moments or anything like that, or any of that sort of comedy anymore, and just played it straight as a slice of life comedy, I feel like that would make more sense than if it just became like the chibi like comedy constantly.
Well, what I kind of again was uncomfortable with is that like the chibi comedy is one thing, and then like it's always this thing where it's like they have that mix of chibi comedy and the thing happened, like the other like slice of life stuff happening, but at the end of the day, the girl always turns into her true form, like her real form, and then she always kind of like, or one of the other girls, right, is in are kind of just like introspecting, right, or retrospecting, right, and so I just like them doing that, and then them being kind of like, yeah, I guess this happened, that sort of thing, and like how the pacing of that sort of like those mini arcs go versus the overall actual development, like the actual changes we see from arc 2 as opposed to arc 1. Those are kind of different, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh yeah, we'll kind of change, or like we won't change at all, and it's either like there's change or no change, right, like within that at the end of the arc. But then like that, what happens at the end of that arc and like what we kind of see over time, they're not exactly the same to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's a detached, it's completely detached from each other.
Yeah.
Like there's no sense or there's no rhyme or reason as to why.
Like at some point, the author is just like,
this
yeah, I think this
point-
character should be more mature. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, or it's like even then it's like, you know, like you'll have development of Umaru or any of the other casts, and then I'll just be like, oh wait, hold on, this series like has that like weird chibi element, degenerate shit to it. All right, well I gotta throw that in. It's like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense anymore. But yeah, so essentially, don't. I would say, yeah, that is probably why I prefer this to Umaru. This is more of like, you know, it knows what it is a lot more, and it's more like consistent to that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Dark, I guess, yeah. I mean, again, at least for me, it's a little bit more, I guess, not necessarily like better in that sense, but it's just like, this is the package they are giving me, indeed, kind of thing. But
Well, yeah,
Dark,
I mean, I mean that's why I would count that as like an improvement.
yeah,
To me, I don't want to say it's an objective improvement, but I would say that I think a series is probably more well suited when it's consistent in the package that is delivered.
right. It's like
When
you're
it
saying
when
that
it
you're doing this, and then you actually like do it.
yeah, it's like here's this slapstick comedy about, you know, like one of the descriptions is like here's like a violent slapstick comedy
Yeah,
featuring these characters. And it's like, whereas Umaru's is always like, you know, tries to describe itself as something similar, where it's like, well, 99% of the show is like slice of life that attempts to have actual development.
yeah.
That's then like squandered by the slapstick part. So,
Anyways, any last words?
so that was Umaru coverage for like the fucking 9th time.
Yeah, talking about how much we think it's boring, but yeah. Anyways, any last words about Dropkick?
I'd say check it out if you're looking for that. Like if you're looking for something that seems like a short, or even if you're looking for something that you want like a decent slapstick comedy short, I would say check it out, because you could always watch half an episode and go back. And there you go. It's a short. That's some secret tech for you. If you only watch just watch 5 minutes at a time, and all of a sudden it's a short.
Yeah, exactly. And it has.
But you have like 3 times. Yeah, you have like 3 times the episode. It's incredible.
Damn,
Oh my god, that's the real tech right there.
it's quite the option select.
Oh my god. Anyways, so that was Dropkick. Justin Chen Dropkick, I believe, is the full name. With Dark, thank you for covering that. And if you like something, I guess a little bit light, something on the short side, a little bit frenetic, and you kind of just want to shut down your brain and kind of check it out. Do try this one out. It is pretty good, stable comedy, so try it out for a change. And with that, we'll move on to Toast.
Hello.
What have you got for us?
You know that thing on what's that? What's the list that we use? Is my anime list, right?
Yeah, we use Mall. It depends. We use ANN.
Do you use ANN? We
I
add on to
want
it?
to say, I want to say we use Mall. Look up series.
Yeah,
For this
Yeah, we use
I
Mall to
do.
get information on series sometimes, or voice actor stuff.
Because I know,
Yes.
actually, no, I believe it was also on ANN Toast. I think it was on both. I know where you're getting at, and I'm almost positive this series was on both lists we had.
All right. Well, a couple of weeks ago when Dark was talking about Angelma, and I was like, I don't want to talk about Hanabata. I already did my sports for this season. Someone else do it. And then Spire threw a big hissy fit over. I don't want to cover Hanabata. You can cover something else.
Not what happened, but okay.
Okay.
It was more Spire was like, hey, I think someone should cover Hanabato. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And then Toast is like, well, I don't want to cover that. I'm gonna cover, and then you listed like 7 different series. It wasn't so much you weren't covering Hanabato. I think it was more of that
No,
you
I
were
was already
listing
talking
like
about
9 different things.
I was already talking about some other series. Like, okay, Toast, why don't you just cover something else? And then you were like, I refuse the thing that you suggested like 15 minutes ago. And I was like, that's not what this conversation is about. But anyways, keep going.
Anyway, I was scrolling through, and then I came across this show called Joshiochi.
Okay.
Kai Kara Onnanako ga something. And I
It's
was
the
like,
one where it's like the girls fall through the room or whatever,
yeah,
right?
and I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I talked about Yuragiso this season. It was like Love Hina, but with ghosts. And then I was like falling through a ceiling.
Okay.
That's just like what Naru did in Love Hina. I'm gonna watch this. And I watched it, and it was pretty interesting.
I was actually in voice chat when he experienced the first episode of this. It was pretty incredible.
So
I mean,
Why don't tell us
yes.
more. Tell us more about this series.
So apparently, in the first episode, where this is like the most important thing, after the girl falls through the ceiling,
Okay.
it turns out she falls straight onto his chinpo.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising there.
I was
Okay, keep
gonna
going.
say that as joke, but
No, it's like straight up. No,
Sometimes,
that's
sometimes
exactly
you have
what
to fall on
happened.
people's chinpos, okay? Near.
And,
That's just like a thing. Like, haven't you read Dojin?
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. You like backflip onto somebody's chinpo.
yeah, but it's like straight up happens, and then chick's like, "Oh no," and the dude's like, "All right," and then he grabs her butt, and then they start doing it, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this hentai?" And I'm like, "Yes, well, yes, it is. It's just what it is."
It's just straight up.
I don't know what you
Hentai.
wanted me to. I don't know what you wanted me to say to this.
Well, that's the series I wanted to cover, and I'm like, "All right, I'll do this."
You'll do it anyways.
And there's 9 episodes of it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, turns out the series that was listed only as ecchi is only listed as such because there's a censored version.
Oh
But
my
the
God.
uncensored version isn't even just the uncensored ecchi.
No,
It's actually just
straight
pornography.
up. Yeah. The censored version, which Dark watched, is 3 minutes. The uncensored version I watched is 5 minutes. So there's 2 more minutes of stuff happening.
Yeah, I
It's
wonder
pretty
why.
cool.
I wonder why.
It's pretty cool. They do it there. They do it every room of the house when no one's watching. But then the other girl somehow barges in on them, and it's like, yeah. And I was like, this show is all right in my eyes.
I don't know whether I would call it a
5 minutes.
show, But
It's
yeah,
5 minutes. It's just long enough for it to not
Keep your
overstay its
attention.
welcome. Yeah.
Keep your attention.
It's just long enough.
Just long enough for you to finish off.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't overstay its welcome. There's no more.
You're
You
not
finish an episode and you're
you're
like,
not-
oh
you're-
wait.
No. It's like they're like 25 minutes, or it's like usually they're like 18 minutes, like
Yeah,
of like anime. Like you're like you spend 5 to 7 minutes, and you're like, all right, do I like keep this on another tab, or like what's happening here?
Yeah, it's like you're already done, and you're like, do I finish the episode? Like, what do I do?
Why are you here? Just
I've
eat
got a
already?
full 17 minutes left.
I have to keep watching this? What's wrong with me?
Very
It's like-
much.
it's
Why am I watching this?
like- God damn. But anyways, any last
But then
words?
it's like it's when you finish the episode, you're like, ah, that was a good episode. I'll save the other one for a
The
rainy
other
day.
ones.
For next
I'll save the other one for like maybe a couple hours from now. Minimum, maybe like 20 minutes.
Do you have any last words for about this?
It's good. I will recommend it to everyone.
I'm glad. Anyways, Near, do you want to talk about another hentai?
Wait, hold on, no, he's not done.
He has more about reviewing.
Not about that. Wait, are we not
I-
covering Planet With tonight? I thought we were.
What?
You guys, do you?
Are we not
No.
covering Planet With anymore?
All right, Dark. I
What?
thought he was suggesting Yoshiochi. But
No,
do you want to?
I have another series to talk about, but
Yeah, I thought he was gonna talk about Planet With, like that was the meme series, like I had Angelmon.
Toast, are you going to talk about Planet With?
no, I'm gonna no, I was gonna
You
talk
got baited,
about
dude.
Jisatsuriki no Tenshi.
You fucking made me watch 3 episodes of Planet With, dick.
Oh, God. I'm crying.
What?
Fuck.
What? I thought I was talking about
Planet
Satsuriki no
With sucks.
Tenshi.
Post.
said
You
Planet
listed, like,
With!
5 different series.
You said you weren't talking about this. You said you didn't want to talk about this because it's not almost over yet.
Well,
I thought he was just going to talk about Yoshiochi
Well,
because
then you could
that's the thing he mentioned last.
then you convinced me. You're like, I don't care what's gonna happen. Then I watched episode 11, and I was like, you know what? He's right. Might as well talk about it now.
Alright, so talk about it.
So, for those who don't know, Planet With is basically
Oh my
what
god.
happens when you. Now, anyway, well, Satsuriki no Tenshi
What?
is
What the fuck?
Satsuriki no Tenshi
Okay. You're doing Angels of Death. Okay.
is a RPG Maker game along the lines of what are some other ones? What other RPG? The original Corpse Party. There we go. Eve, Yume Nikki. You know all those famous Misao Medfather. All those famous horror RPG Maker games. They're pretty sweet. Witch's House, not so much. It's available on Steam if you're looking out, actually. It's about this chick named Guy Gardner, and she's like, what, 13 years old.
Gao Gaigar?
Guy Gardner, you know, the second Green Lantern after Hal.
Sure.
But yeah,
Okay.
her name's Rachel Gardner, and she's 13 years old, and I think she's a foreigner, cause she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. She wakes up in a hospital for some reason, and she's like, well, she gets sent to the hospital because she saw someone committing a murder, and so they're like, you need to talk to a shrink about this. And she talks to the shrink, but then she wakes up in the hospital. But she wakes up in the basement of the hospital, and there's some sort of weird horror stuff going around. And she lost all her memories except for her name and the reason why she's there. And then you find out that she's part of basically what is, I don't know how to describe it other than a death game where every floor there's like a floor master that's trying to kill her because she's the sacrifice. So
Okay.
So, I'm trying to think of another series where you climb up floors to reach the end. And
Tower of God?
Tower of Draga? No.
What the fuck? What? I said Tower of God.
I didn't watch that. I don't know.
It's not.
So I said Tower of Draga. That's also a show and a
You
game.
know the Korean webcomic, right? Didn't you read
No,
it?
I don't read Korean webcomics. What are you talking about?
Okay, sure.
I only read a Fearless Martial Artist and a Fearless
Oh
Dad.
my god, just fucking kill me.
Anyway, so we were talking, me and Dark, and we are like, it's kind of like Catherine or Persona 3-ish. But then I was like, no, that's not recent enough. So then I came up with, it's kind of like Fate Last Encore, where except
What
you know
Where
I'm
nothing happens for 9 episodes.
where was I? But yeah, on the first floor she meets the guy with the scythe, and she's all like, and he's all like, I'm gonna kill you because I'm a serial murderer. But then she escapes to the next floor, and then there's another serial murderer, but this time it's her doctor, and she tries to kill her. But the guy from the previous floor shows up, and he's like, and he kills the doctor dude. But that's a violation of the rules, cause for some reason. So now instead of being the floor master, the scythe dude is now also a sacrifice, and now they must work together to brave the passages of the other floors and reach the top and escape and whatnot. That's what this
But
show's
why
about.
does she want him to kill her?
Because she feels guilty about seeing the murder or something. But in the first episode, you see that she's kind of not right in the head either. Where she saw this bird die and she was all like, "Wow, you suck.
Wow, epic.
Wow, you suck. What's wrong with you, bird?" And then she stitches up the bird back to normal, so it's like kind of like taxidermy, and she's all like, now you're perfect. So there's a hint of
So she's definitely also a serial killer.
probably.
Okay, so
And she probably
is this-
killed the person in the first episode.
Okay, so is this just like them? Like the core of the story is the girl just climbing the tower? That's just it, right?
Climbing the basement, yeah, with her serial murderer now turned ally because the dude saw her emotionless face after some stuff, and he was all like, "Wow, I'm not interested in you anymore. If you're not scared of me, I don't want to kill you anymore." But then she's all like, "No, but I want you to kill me." No,
Oh, this, no, yeah,
then they're
okay,
like,
yeah.
"Okay, let's team up." And then somehow they become the Tsukomi. She becomes the Tsukomi to his Bokeh, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
Yeah, so it just kind of seems like it was like game original or whatever, right? I actually remember seeing
Yeah.
the game version of this. Yeah. I just uh, a lot of this is kind of like I don't know, like
If you've played many like a Japanese horror game, this is very alongside the this tone. I wouldn't call it more. I wouldn't call it a death game like what are the death games?
it's not a death game because the point isn't based around like people just acting about
Yeah.
like the survival and
This
stuff
this
like
isn't
that,
this
really.
isn't Battle Royale or Osama game or nothing like that.
Yeah,
It's
there
most
are like flashes of like fight or flight, but it's not like really focused on that sort of thing.
this is more straight
Yeah.
up horror alongside like what I said earlier, Corpse Party,
Yeah.
Eve, Mad Father. I actually akin this more to Mad Father in a way, probably
Mhm.
due to the doctor guy, but whatever. They reach the floor master. They talk to him. They detail about why she's a sacrifice and why they want to kill her, and then they fight,
Mhm.
and then they kill the floor master, and then they proceed to go up. And that's about it so far. You learn about the character Rachel and why she's here. You learn about the serial killer dude. You learn about I'm gonna keep calling them the floor masters. People, I don't know what else to talk about. People say
Is
it's
it It hasn't ended yet, right? Because I know
Oh.
sort of the general plot of how that goes. Because I did sort of kind of cheat and read
Yeah,
the.
this is weirdly 16 episodes.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know.
very weird, actually.
I don't know why.
That's like I haven't seen that like forever. Actually, ever really. Like 16 is a very interesting number. But okay.
But yeah, it's very. I don't want to say episodic, but it kind of is.
Well, the thing is, it's like it's in a sense, it's it's episodic in the sense that like the thing that happened in each episode are like very like it's like each event is well wrapped up in each episode is probably what it
It's
seems
because
like.
they're dead.
Yeah. But I guess I mean like without I guess spoiling stuff, would you any like last words like would you recommend this to people or would you maybe be like would you want to play the game after this or like what?
I mean, the the audio visuals are nice. I like the.
It's JC Staff, yeah.
Yeah, this is actually one of their. What else has JC Staff done recently?
A lot of bad things.
I would actually go.
I'm not kidding. Like they have like fucking High Score Girl, which looks horrendous.
I would go to say is this is their best looking anime this season,
Mhm.
and not to mention that the opening is actually pretty good. It's not Fate Last Encore good with TM Revolution, but it's kind of on the same wavelength, if you know what I'm saying. It's Masaki Endo. Masaki Endo is pretty fire.
JC Staff is also partially on Planet Wit, which also doesn't look good.
Well, you mean
yeah.
you know me? I'm fond of these Japanese horror stories. This is
You are.
if I want to say compared to other adaptations like Corpse Party, Ao-Oni, this is probably one of the better ones so far.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not exactly outish. It's pretty average. I've seen some people say it's boring. It's probably because it's pretty methodical. It's not really game changing or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think the issue is it's like
Because
it's kind of just doing stuff without always. Well, the thing is, it's like how do I say? It's like a lot of these series, right, often have these sort of like what I want to say moral breaks in a sense, where they're like they pause and they're like, oh, this is sort of the moral impact or this is the moral perspective this person has, and that's why they're doing X Y Z action, and then they do like an introspection or something, and then it happens, right? The event kind of finishes, concludes,
maybe
like the person dies or whatever. But this doesn't have that, so people are maybe just like, oh well, they're just things going on, kind of things. So I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm not saying that's a good opinion to have. I'm just saying that might be why people think that.
It's because your Rachel is not exactly your typical Japanese horror female protagonist, where she's pretty innocent and scared of everything that's around her. She's pretty competent, I would say, because there's
She's
something
not scared out of her wits.
and there's
Essentially,
something not right with her head
Mhm.
in a way. Because there was this one scene where in the first episode where the scythe